Hello, everyone. This is the first bridge, we will call it. We have Kevin and Erin here, and I'm just gonna sit back and you guys, yeah, I'll just jump in whenever. You get to tell us a little about yourself. Kevin, you can go first, and then Erin.
Cool. I don't know. I mean, I skateboard a lot. Um, I haven't recently actually, but I do skateboard a lot. I learned a lot of languages and instruments. Currently now I'm learning Chinese, and whenever I get that down, I'm gonna go and learn Thai because half my family is Thai. So I'll do that as well. Besides that, I'm not too interested.
Oh, come
Oh
on.
no,
Like hockey, so yeah,
this will be great.
yeah.
So, from what Kenny has told me, is that you have been in a psychiatric facility before,
True.
if I'm correct.
Yeah, I went
Well,
about 10 months ago.
if you don't mind me asking, like, what did you go in for?
Um, I trusted one of my teachers and I told them some things, and I guess she got concerned about like my mental state and everything. So she told the principal and APs and everything. And I don't know. They went through. I had just coincidentally, I had this notebook that I read everything in on like how I feel and everything, and they went through that without even asking me if they could, and they found some things that they didn't want to see. So then that further led them to send me to one.
Yeah. Well, I want to know like what your experience was like there.
Honestly, actually being there wasn't bad, but the process of going and like they took me they had a cop escort me to a hospital, and then I sat in the hospital for about 3 days until they then transferred me to the psychiatric hospital. So all of that was very stressful and really didn't help anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually being there it really wasn't bad. I made one of my closest friends there now. So I mean, there were some issues, but overall it was fine, I think.
What was the staff like that you worked with? Because that's what I do. I directly work with I work with younger kids, but I've worked every unit at my hospital. So I've worked with boys, girls, children's. So what was the staff like there? And did you find them helpful?
Um, the first staff that I met, because I got there at like 3 in the morning, and the first one that I met, she was really sweet about everything. She respected my name and pronouns. She was very kind. Um she was helpful to one calm me down, but also my mom, because she was obviously very stressed out about everything. So she was very helpful on that aspect. But she was only there on weekends, and the other staff, they were pretty cool, but this one, she wasn't that great. She had an attitude a lot of the time with everyone for no apparent reason. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna distance myself from me because I don't need that in my life right now. And my doctor, she could have done way better. She was supposed to come see me and everything a lot more than she did. I was there for maybe about a week, and she only came to see me 2 times. So she could have done better on that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. At the facility I work at, doctors see their patients every day.
Yeah.
So that's wild that they only saw you twice.
Yeah.
Especially, did they like help with medications and stuff?
I think they should have, but my mom really doesn't want me on any medications. I don't know how my dad feels about that aspect, but she really didn't want me on any, which sucks because I think it would be beneficial in a lot of things. But it's whatever, I guess. So
Yeah.
they did what's the word? They did suggest it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Being a trans patient, did you have any issues with like other kids or staff?
There was just one kid, and he would just question me every day, maybe like at least 2 times, like an hour for the whole week that I was there. He would question my gender and everything. I was like, one, it really doesn't matter, right? But two, I still told him. I told him I was male, and he didn't believe me. So I'm like, okay, dude, if you don't believe me, it's whatever. You don't have to. But this is how I identify, so that's whatever. But everybody else on it was very understanding and not persistent as finding out, actually, as that one.
Erin, I'm interested, like for you on your end, like, do you know if the staff, communicates with many trans patients there? Like, do you have many kids who are trans, and how do they deal with that if there are?
Probably in our building right now, we have about 70 patients, and probably about 3 are trans. And I would say overall, staff is really receptive and understanding proper pronouns, like no issue. But I feel like with the male staff, they have like a harder time with understanding it and just using the right pronouns. So I feel like overall everyone does really well, but there is definitely, I would say out of every population that they are probably the ones that have the hardest time in the facility. And I would say some of it's because of staff, doctors, and then some of it is issues with parents. A lot of kids are sent in because their parents don't understand or want them to be trans and think that like we're gonna fix them and like send them home and they're gonna just have a different identity, or it's just
Yeah, there's a lot of people who are, who are misinformed about all of this, and I just want to check, Erin, are you getting a lot of like echo and feedback?
no.
Kevin, are you getting echo and feedback?
I'm not.
No? Okay, I'm kind of getting some. But I guess, Kevin, I have just a like a question for you about, like your your real, like, when did you realize that, you identified more as a male, and how has that journey been for you? And like, how have your friends and family resonated with this transition in your life?
Um, Whenever I first started, like, actually publicly identifying as male, like around my friends and everything, that was around the summer of 2018. But actually, like, noticing and having those thoughts and feelings, I was like really young. But whenever I did come out as trans, a couple months later, I told both my parents, my sister, and my closest cousin, and all of them really didn't have a reaction at first, um, which was fine. I mean, I get it because I was kind of out of nowhere whenever I said it. But I begged and begged for like a few months for me to get my hair cut because it was like down to here, and I was like, that's not working. So yeah, a couple months later, December 1st, 2018, I got my hair cut finally. And every now and then my mom would ask me questions about like being trans and how that really works and name and how I identify and everything, which was great. I was like, okay, so she's catching on pretty fast. And on the other hand, my dad, my sister, and my cousin, they really didn't say anything about it, which was it's fine, it's whatever. But just recently, I go to work with my mom sometimes, and the some of her coworkers have asked me what's my name and pronouns and everything, which is really cool. So me telling them that and them using those name and pronouns around my mom has helped her understand and kind of have her use the same. So that's really cool as well. But she's also stopping herself, because you know how some people are like, if you go up to your friend and like, girl, I have some news for you, and like I have to tell you, right? So my mom usually does that with me, but now she's kind of stopping to say girl, and she just says child. I'm like, I'm completely fine with that. So yeah, that's cool too. Yeah.
Have you had any issues from anyone from like being trans?
Around middle school, 8th grade, I had a lot. There was this group of guys that were like popular or whatever, and basically every single one of them were homophobic and transphobic, so that was hard. And they just bullied everyone, but I'm used to bullying, which I shouldn't be, but I am, so it's like whatever, dude.
Yeah. Whenever you were experiencing bullying, did your school do any? Like, did you feel comfortable with going to people in your school? Or?
When it comes to my principals and APs and the counselors there at my middle school, I didn't really go to them after anything. I mean, with anything after I got arrested in 2018, I believe. I didn't go to them after that for anything, because I didn't trust them, because they didn't go about anything the way that I think they should have. They were all over the place with it, and they didn't even call my mom whenever I got arrested. They didn't call, so but I don't trust them.
Yeah. Is bullying a big issue at your school?
I think so, yeah. And they don't do anything about it. I mean, I think I told Kenny this last time we did this type of thing. We have 2 stories, and this kid jumped off of the second one, and they didn't have anything about suicide prevention or anything like that until the day after it happened. And then they had all these presentations and posters everywhere. So that's how my middle school reacted to things.
Yeah, they react. They don't try to prevent things from happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's very common with all schools, because my school had bullying. Like it was frequent. Like the kids that had autism in our school would get frequently beat up at lunchtime, and nothing was ever done about it. So,
Erin, could you talk a little about, because in high school you went through some bullying, and would you feel comfortable sharing your story about your experiences?
yeah, so my experience in high school was that my brother, when I was a freshman, he was a senior, and I would hang out with him frequently, and I would hang out with his friends. Like, his friends knew me and would talk to me, and somehow that meant that I was a slut. So I got labeled as a slut, and I slept over my friend's house one time, and then there were rumors that she made that I slept with her brothers because I was such a slut. And I ended up getting just like harassed online at school so bad that like I ended up transferring to high school. So that was kind of like my experiences, just because like I had friends that were male and I got along well with people. They just assumed that I was a slut and I was having sex with everybody. So it was hard to tell my parents about that, because I assumed that they were going to think that I was a slut. And then I eventually told them, and my dad drove me to school the next day to drop me off, and he realized how bad it was when we pulled up and I was like refusing to go into school. I was screaming, I was crying, and my dad had to walk me into school. And then from that point on, we talked about transferring schools. So that's kind of my experience with bullying. So.
Yeah, bullying is. Oh, Kevin, you were going to say something.
No, you can go ahead.
Um, no, I think no, bullying has just been really pervasive on this channel. Um, feels like like every other person that I talk to, like has either been shamed for their weight or for their sexuality or just for being themselves, for being creatives, really. And it's like, what, like, I don't know, do you guys have any thoughts of how maybe this could, how maybe schools or education systems or something could improve on curbing bullyism?
But one thing that I noticed, like the patients that come to my hospital for being bullied, is that these kids get bullied so bad. And then when they try and react to the bullying, and usually it's in a negative way by trying to beat someone up or bringing weapons in the school to try and like hurt the people that have constantly been hurting them. After they've reached out to people, parents have called the school. They're the ones that are getting in trouble and getting sent to my hospital and other hospitals around where I live, and the bullies are still at school doing the same thing. So it's kind of like we're trying to correct the wrong people. So that's something that I see a lot, is that when kids react to bullying, they're the ones that are getting in trouble. They're the issue instead of the actual bullying. So I think that by listening to both sides of what is going on and having that conversation about why this person is reacting the way they are, instead of just punishing them for what they're doing, I think that might be able to at least get a conversation started where people can look at both sides of the story. So, that's my little.
Kevin, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, at my school at least, I don't know if like I'm the only one um getting these vibes from the APs and everyone at my school, but I feel like if the counselors and the principals and the APs could literally give off more caring vibes, like they actually cared, I think that would also be more beneficial. Because I get in trouble, and I've went to alternative schools. Like if you get in too much trouble, you have to go there. So I went there 2 times. Um, and both times that I was there for 3 months or something. And you could tell the counselors there, the teachers there, literally everyone there actually legitimately cares. Like it's not hard to be able to notice that. So I could talk to them very easily, and the teachers there, I could talk to them very easily. But I don't know.
What you're saying is making me think a lot about just like, like how do we get people to actually work to be non-racist? How do we work to become or to be advocates instead of bullies? Like I think what you're talking about, Kevin, is like the idea of just like caring. Like how do we help people to care more about each other and about other people that may seem different than us, you know? I think it is that we just have to show other people that we are more similar than different than them, that everyone goes through trauma when they're young in some way, it doesn't matter if you're black or white, but like people go through shit. And if like everyone just understands that everyone goes through shit, everyone would be much nicer, right?
Yeah.
Is that, I don't
I feel
know.
like that would be the easy answer. That if we could, yeah, I feel like that's yeah. I don't know.
it sounds easy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
But
that's what I'm trying, is like, could it be that easy?
I think it, I think theoretically it's easy, but like, how do you practically do that so that you actually get people to realize that everyone goes through shit? Like, that's hard, you
Yeah, I
know?
watched this video on YouTube, and it was about this guy who admitted he was racist. He made a phone call to like a news channel and was talking to someone, and he stated that he was racist and that he wanted to change. And he met with this African American lady who was kind of going to be like his guide to help him be less racist. And some of the things that she told him to do was to just go out and talk to people that do not have the same skin color as you, and to read books by people who do not have the same skin color as you or do not have the same background as you. And over time, he just became less and less racist and more understanding, because he now knew people and had conversations with them and made connections. And then he read the books and realized what people have gone through. So I guess that is the answer.
Yeah.
I guess that is the answer.
Yeah.
But what is stopping people from doing it? That's the question I have. If we know that's the answer, we can't be the only ones that know this answer. So just why don't people do it?
I think they don't want to take the time out of their day to inform themselves, educate themselves.
Is it kind of like an ignorance is bliss thing for them? Like, would you assume?
Yeah, I think so.
Kenny, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh God, yeah, I think, I, well, I think that's absolutely right what you're saying, Erin. Um, and thus, like, this channel is pretty much like a foray into doing just that, is to just try to grow it. And um, I think, um, hmm, I think that one of the reasons that it isn't being done on a large scale is because it isn't sexy and it doesn't sell, and it's not like it doesn't, like, talking about this stuff isn't like triggering. It's like, oh yeah, that's obvious, and it's also boring, you know. um and I but I don't think it is boring. I think
Yeah.
I think that's how the media thinks about it. um and I think that's one of the reasons that the media doesn't like invest fully in that philosophy. Um, and if media did, I think we would have a much safer and loving world than we do now. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my thought. I don't know.
Yeah. Because between the Black Lives Matter movement and the coronavirus, the media, I just feel like has gone insane. I just feel like they're so divisive with both of these things instead of just treating them as human issues, instead of a Democratic versus Republican issue. Like, why can't it just be like Black lives are being targeted by police officers? This is not something new. This is not something that has happened for the first time. But now it's a Republican versus Democrat idea instead of just humans are being killed for their skin color. And coronavirus, people don't want to wear masks. Instead of looking at it as, oh, if I wear this, I could potentially be protecting someone. It's now, oh, my freedom's being taken away versus something else. Like, it's just so politicized and so on polar ends that it's hard to even get a middle ground for it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested in like Kevin, what you think about um kind of like the people that you feel you've felt the most hatred from, or the most bullying, or like, is there a trend in their behavior, or a trend in, like, do you know anything about them, like their backstory? Like, are they damaged people too? Are they, I don't know, what do you think?
Um, yeah, I think on the bullying part, like with me getting bullied, a lot of them have been bullied themselves, and now they're hurt, and they want to take that on everyone else. Um, in middle school, like I said, with the group of those popular guys, um, I know for a fact they've all been bullied in some shape, way, or form because they joke about it because now they think it's funny. And so yeah, they bully people, and it's like whatever to them because they already went through it. So they're like, okay, they should go through it too then, if I had to, which is messed up because that's not the case. And um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Have you ever felt like targeted by like police officers or anything like that?
Yes, but I don't know if that's because of everything that I've done to make them keep a closer eye out on me, or if that's because of my skin color. But either way, I have.
There was a video that I did with Muhammad. I don't know if you guys saw that video. I think he was stranger number 8, and he's from Sweden. This guy, black guy. He's like 20 years old, and I asked him, what is his relationship like with the police there, and he said that he has never felt nervous about police in Sweden. Like, as a black man, he has never felt afraid of police. So it must be an American, like a US thing. Like,
Yeah, if you look into how little training our police officers have, maybe their training is longer, more extensive than what police officers here are required to do. Or maybe it's because Sweden is a much more collectivist culture than America, and they actually live in a place where they care about each other. And I feel like that's very common with a socialist country. So,
Kevin, do you have a thought on that, or?
Um, yeah, I was thinking that whenever you said that he didn't have any issues with feeling nervous around police issues, I was like, okay, maybe that's he's in Sweden and this is America. So yeah.
Yeah, it's something, because like he was saying that, there are 35,000 people in his city, and there were only 10 black families. So there's like practically no diversity at all. And I
yeah.
I I wonder, you know, I wonder if it's actually if he doesn't feel nervous because there just isn't any diversity there at all anyway. So why would the cops be, like? But I also wonder to what extent, like, diversity in a population actually may accentuate or make racism even stronger in an area, right? Like, maybe in cities like New York City, you'd feel more nervous to be called a slur than in if you were, a minority in North Dakota, like I don't know.
Well, I wonder if it's because, like, in the United States, people feel like minorities are taking something from them. Like, that seems to be, like, the common denominator with mainly white people having issues with minorities. It's jobs, or there's welfares being misused, or whatever excuse people are trying to make minorities seem like a problem instead of such a benefit to our country, that in a socialist country where there's not really that issue of people taking things from people, it's all kind of shared amongst one another. That maybe that's why there's less of that in countries like Sweden. I don't know. That's just my kind of view on that. I don't know. Kevin, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was just about to say it left my mind. uh,
That's okay. That's cool. We're all just kind of like exploring ideas here, and like, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm really trying to remember.
You're
Okay.
fine.
I guess I don't know what. Well, I don't want to. I maybe it'll pop back into your head, but I'm wondering, Kevin, like the things that, like, I mean, the things we're talking about, are being talked a lot about. I mean, everyone is talking about these things, and it can get really tiring. And like, you know, I get tired talking about this stuff sometimes. But like, besides this stuff, like, what are some other things that you and your friends talk about? Like, are there any things that we're kind of missing, or that you think may be important issues on the horizon?
Um, Me and one of my other friends, we've been talking about for a few days now. So my school district wants to provide laptops for everyone, since you can either choose to do online or you can actually go back to school whenever that comes around. And so she started talking about how are they going to afford all the laptops plus the Wi-Fi for those families that don't have it. How are they going to afford that if they don't care to put money into like other things? Like the food in my school is absolute trash, right? A lot of our textbooks are really old and torn up, pages missing and everything. So we've been just talking about how they're gonna be able to afford all of this, but not the other stuff that's actually also very needed.
What do you think about the laptop issue? What is your opinion of that?
Um, I think it'll be useful. I think it's smart because I know a lot of families won't want their children to go back to school with this whole corona thing. So I think that's understandable. I think that's pretty smart. But um, I think about the what ifs. Like, what if a student breaks one, or um, I don't know. What if something goes wrong with the laptops, and then what are you gonna do for our education?
Yeah. Would you, if you had the option to pick between going back and a laptop, what would you pick?
Um, I think I would have to say to actually go back to school. One, whenever Corona really started coming around and popping up in the U.S., and then whenever we did online schooling, I really didn't do my work online, and I think it'd be easier for me to do my work in a classroom because I actually did it then. but online I didn't. So that would be one reason I want to go back. The second reason, and the main reason, is for ROTC because I plan on going to the Air Force whenever I get out of high school. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do on that part. Like I don't know what I want to do with my life anymore if I can't go back and do ROTC. You can still do it whenever you get out of high school, obviously, but it just gives you more training if you do ROTC, and it gives you more prepared. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, Erin? Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. I was just gonna ask Kevin, what made you want to go into the Air Force?
My uncle served some time, and whenever I like actually understood that and realized what serving men and everything, I was like, okay, that's most definitely something I want to do. But besides that, nobody in my family has served, only him. So
Is this your uncle who also skateboards?
no, no, it's
Okay.
my yeah, it's the other one.
One skateboards and then one serves in the military. Well,
Yeah,
we have an uncle that served in the army, and he's like a captain.
Yeah.
so that's what's up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting thing, right? Like serving in the military and like just like you would. I guess I have such mixed opinions about it because what is the intention that a person has going into the military? Is it financial? Is it to serve your country? And but then I also wonder, do do people like I guess I'm really biased against the military because I think I look at what like the US has done in Afghanistan and Iraq and all over the place, and they've caused a lot of chaos. And do you think about that when considering enlisting?
Yeah, I do. At times I almost even question it because if I go into the military, I want to be in the Air Force and I want to do something with has to do with technology. And I don't want to be put out there during a war. Like that's gonna mess up my mental seriously then. So I really don't want to do that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I just if I go, I want it to have something to do with technology. I really don't want to go out there in war or something.
And they really provide a lot of financial help too when you afterwards, they help you to like, you know, put a mortgage down on a house and everything, and there are a lot of financial benefits to it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about entering the Air Force as a trans? As someone that's
Um, I I really don't know because with what my mom is telling me and how my dad will probably agree with her, she doesn't want me to start like any hormone changes or any surgery until I'm 18. So I should be out of high school by then. So if I go to the military and I'm post everything and then I start transitioning while in it, I don't know how that would play out and unfold. So I'm kind of scared about that.
yeah.
What is the current state of like of trans people going into the military? Is that it is legal, right? It should be.
I think so, but I think a few times also I think I've seen like articles on how Trump doesn't want trans people serving.
Yeah.
I'm not sure though. But
Yeah.
Why
How
the
do you
fuck? Why the? Can I just ask? Why the fuck would he want? Why? What is so terrible? Like, come on. Okay, that's it. I'll shut up.
Do you have any friends or like family members that are Trump supporters? Or
Not that
yourself can find that?
yeah, I'm not at all. A lot of my family absolutely hates him, but not any that I know of, unless you're just keeping it a secret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice that they're. Yeah. How do you feel about people supporting Trump?
Do you? I'm not gonna stop you, but I will say I don't think that's the smartest choice. That's all.
Do you feel like that you like if one of your best friends say told you that they were a Trump supporter and they agreed with like a lot of what he said, like how would you be able to still maintain a friendship with that person, or would that change the dynamic of the friendship for you?
Yeah, no, it's funny that you say that. A couple of days ago, I got told that one of my close friends actually is a Trump supporter. So I texted him, I talked to him about it. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna just stop being friends with you. And then he brought up the facts on how he's also homophobic and he was only friends with me and the 3 other people. It was always us. He was only friends with us because he felt bad for leaving. But he did say he actually really doesn't like the LGBT community because we're annoying. So I'm like, okay, I'm done. It was almost there with the Trump part, and I understood where you're coming from. You can do that, do you? But me being me and being in the
Yeah.
LGBT community and you not accepting that, I don't really think I could do that. So I don't talk to them as much.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, like that's the stuff that kind of that kills me, right? Because it's like if like what like what is it about? If only he could be a little more specific about things, then maybe like things could be patched up. You know, like if like what about the community does he find annoying? Does he feel like he isn't being listened to? But then he also needs to listen and try to understand where you're coming from too. So it's just like it's so annoying when friendships suffer over things that seem like they could be so easily fixed, you know?
And this seems like the first time since I feel like since I've been alive that like I've really seen like friendships and relationships end because like the other person was supporting um a different candidate than they were. It just seems like Trump is so far off to one side that it makes it impossible to almost see where they're coming from, because it just seems that he's so full of hate that to agree with what he says is that you would have to be full with some of that hate too. And I feel like that's the first time I've really seen that before.
I
Like,
was
what do
t-
you think?
Oh yeah, go for it.
Um, yeah, I totally agree. Whenever you said if you like Trump or agree with some of the things that he said, you have to be filled with that hate as well. I strongly agree with that. Now that you worded it like that. Um, no shit, but Trump is really affecting a lot of people. My friend, she's Puerto Rican, and Trump is thinking about selling Puerto Rico. So she has a lot of family over there, so that's messing her and her family up. So I, Trump is just messing up a lot of things, I think.
Yeah. A lot of things that seem to be on like a good path too is the like very alarming thing, is that it just seemed like things were going in the right direction. Not perfect or close to perfect, but at least like we're hopeful for improvement and just continual improvement. And now it seems like that is kind of getting messed up with him.
There's this girl. I want to just share this interaction that I had the other day. I wasn't able to record this girl. I forget what her name was. But she was like wearing a mask, and she was like an artist, right? Like really cool, interesting person. And uh, she said that she was a Trump supporter, and I was like, wow, like, oh my gosh, like I really want to record you. I really want to hear your opinion. Um, but we just talked anyway, and I didn't record her. And she said that she's a Trump supporter because she can see all she sees is how mean people are to Trump, and how like people call him like this orange guy with awful hair, and she sees that bullying towards him, and she empathizes with him that he's the one getting bullied. And I thought that was so fascinating because it is true. Like the left, like MSNBC, like calls him names. Like how can we accomplish anything if if people are just as mean and name calling as he is, you know, like in it, like an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And I mean, I think Trump is a bully, but we have to figure out a way that goes well, like if he punches low, we go high kind of thing. And I think that's just like what our responsibility has to be to kind of try to fix anything, to try to, you know,
Yeah, but
fix the mess that he's made, you know. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
interested in hearing your thoughts.
but that's alarming that she sees people bullying him for or being orange and his hair, but does not see the racism, the mocking of a disabled person, literally mocking them, kicking Black people out of their rallies for doing nothing. Um, whenever he made comments about John McCain, saying that he likes his war heroes not captured. Like, he's made fun of so many people, but she can't see that. She only sees that he is getting bullied. That is alarming to me because I'm able to see that people are bullying Trump. Like, yeah, people hate him. And I think some people take it to an extreme, but at the same time, look at what he's doing. It's way worse. Not that like one should be like because it's less bad, but that's Trump supporters. I just feel like don't see anything bad that he does. Like, how can you just you can empathize for someone, but that doesn't mean you need to support them. Like, what? Why? I don't get that. I don't at all. That's alarming to me.
Yeah, it was an interesting perspective. Do you have any thoughts, Kevin, of that?
Um, Ignorant people are gonna be ignorant. I do not think they should be in a place of power, and I'll say that for Trump.
Yeah. 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 It's just alarming the people that we have running for president right now. 2 people accused of sexual assault.
Yeah, yeah. Neither of them can put sentences together. You
And
know,
then the third person, because I was talking to Kenny on in a previous conversation about like, oh, like, well, what could be our third option? And then Kanye comes out of nowhere. Like, Kanye West is like, this is the third option that I'm being given, is Kanye West. And the things that he has going for him is that he hasn't been in a whole lot of trouble. He said some really dumb, ignorant stuff, but he hasn't raped anybody. And that's
he's
like a huge, that's alarming that he is almost.
he's not running. He's not running
No,
because yeah,
out.
yeah, well, he wasn't putting anything forward in the first place. That was a publicity stunt to sell an album, I think. I think he probably just, I mean,
Yeah.
he's good at publicity. He knows how to work the media, you know.
Yeah. But that's just, like, those are our three. Of all the people in the world. And they wanted Joe Biden. The Democratic Party wanted Joe Biden over Bernie Sanders, which I will never understand. I just don't understand why these men can do almost anything and then put in the highest position of power for our country. It's just
Kevin,
wild to me.
do you have any thoughts on like on the Democratic presidential race? Like, were you paying attention to it? Were there any people there that you kind of liked if you did?
No, I wasn't really paying attention to it.
Mhm. Well, we have good old Joe Biden.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be it's just going to be an interesting next 4 years, whatever way it goes. It's like everyone is so obsessed. Everyone from the United States is so obsessed with the United States, but no one thinks to put good people in charge of it. Like, if you are so patriotic and you love this country as much as you do, like, why would you not put just good people in instead of like a reality TV star? Like, why would you think, like, yes, let's put this in charge to run our poorly oiled machine? Like, I just don't understand it. I get people who don't want a politician. I understand people saying, oh, maybe not a politician to be president. That makes sense. But like a reality TV host is what you guys, like, is what people thought was going to be the next best option, is just mind-boggling. I just feel like the standard for president has now been so low that now everyone is going to think that they are able to do it. And I just...
Yeah, yeah, that's a good. You're right.
I just don't understand.
Well, guys, before we get going, do you have any last thoughts or questions or things you want to share?
No, I'm good.
I'm cool.
You guys are awesome.
So are you, Penny. So are you.
This is good stuff, you know. And I would love to, yeah, I would love for this to continue being a thing. If there are any other people who come on that you guys would like to talk to about any particular issue, or anyone out there who's watching, if you want to talk to any of us or anyone else, just let me know, and we'll make it happen. We're building bridges. So,
All right.
all right. Thank you, Kevin, again. Thank you. And
Yes, thank you. It was nice talking to you.
You too. Thank you both. Thank you both.
okay. All right. Bye. Love you, Erin. See ya.
Bye. Love you,
Bye,
Kevin.
Kevin.
Bye.
Well,
See ya.